G'day, welcome Mark and Sam After Work. Today I want to do a quick video on the new Berger 6mm 109 grain long range hybrid target. We've just got a batch in actually with the Australian distributor, Stuart over at BRT, said listen, have a crack at some of these, see what you think, let us know, sort of stuff. He thought they were a pretty good bullet and thought that we might have a use for them. And we do, we have a couple. We've recently got ourselves a new barreled action to put into this, which is normally our 6.5 Creedmoor platform, but to put a 6mm in just to do some testing with it, see how it went, and there's more testing to go. In all sorts of bullets and calibers and bits and pieces. But we got the 6mm to do that job, and so it was a good place to do it. We also have a 6mm SAWM, which I think these bullets will work well in as well. But yeah, thought awesome. We'll get some of those and give them a shot and see how they go. Probably the interesting feature to go with them, and in the world of the guys at Berger are really sort of pushing the boundaries on trying to get further in the BC to suit us extreme range and long range shooters, while also, you know, obviously helps with hunting and that sort of stuff in the way of dropping your amount of bullet drop. But really what they're doing is pushing the hybrid side of things. So getting closer and closer to VLD while keeping the hybrid flexibility of the bullet. Won't get any more complicated than that. The interesting feature I have up here, what I was running in my SAWM, which is the 115 grain, they have a 0.568 G1 BC. These are the 109 and they have the same ballistic coefficient. So obviously they've done a bit of refining things, whether that's the Meplat or the secant radius or whatever it is. They've done stuff to gain some BC with less weight. So that's what we had, and we've gone out to test them. Now this is the first 50 rounds. Well, you're seeing the last of the 50 rounds that are loaded up. I did it in a couple of formats. I did 10 of them where they're pushed out a little bit closer. I suppose what I'd tell you about the barreled action here, they're very long throat on them. Don't know exactly the logic to go with it, but there is some features that's turned into. But I did some with like 100 thou jump, and some have got coming up to 180 thou of jump. So a lot of jump. I did that. A little bit about the magazine, but it was really more about getting the bearing surface loaded up to where I had the bearing surface of the bullet was all the way into the neck of the bullet. And just to see how they actually performed. You know, if they work like that, great, the bullet's together nicely. I'm not having to push things. I'm not trying to push up to jump or raise pressures or things like that. I did find that a little bit more jump helped with the SAWM in places. It actually lowered the pressure a little bit. So that's and getting to a lot more than they normally run. So I thought I'd try and see how that. If they're spraying all over the place, they're no good, but let's just see how they go. I noticed one feature in that when I actually tried to single feed, I much prefer to single feed. I'm not a magazine guy unless I need it. I prefer to just put the bullet straight in. I don't really like the process of loading a magazine and then putting it in. But okay, I thought I'd try that. And I found that when I single fed on the normal action, because of the shape of the bullet, because of the shape of the shoulder, I found that sometimes I'd go in, but sometimes the nose would go down and actually hit the back of the barrel, not going in properly. What I actually did to fix that was make a simple little shoe. Like I said, I prefer to single feed, got my own logic to go with it, but in here is, if I can get it out, a little shoe, just a little nylon shoe I made to go in here, which meant I could single feed. Easy enough to pull out, easy enough to operate. Let me get that back in, there we go. Easy enough to do that, but it meant that the bullet then didn't drop down so much when you're actually pushing it in and went in straight. I would note that when I magazine fed them, worked perfectly. So what it was redesigned for, magazines, that sort of stuff, worked perfectly. Maybe that's just a Hauer thing, but it's the bit I found, and so it's what I did. Like I said, prefer to single feed, looks after my brass, just the way I prefer to do it. Interesting little quirk, but what I did. Simple thing to make. You could make it out of a bit of wood, I suppose, in there. It's not complicated, it's just something to fill up that little gap and make it so it's single fed. So that was the one little quirk. But then we took it out and shoot. It's only the second time that this has been out in this combination with the 6mm Creedmoor in this chassis, where normally the 6.5 Creedmoor lives. But we took it out. I had a few shots to actually check the speed and find out where we're actually aiming. It was top right, was it?
Yeah, just off. impact bottom plate moving. I did see dust, so maybe it was a...
which we went through the first little gang there, and well, you can see the speed there. We were at the higher than I thought. I was hoping to see 3,000, maybe 3,050, but 3,100, 3,100, 3,110, 3,116, there was 3,118, there was 3,109, I think it was. But we also, it was windy up there, and faults on me. I haven't got myself a remote trigger for the lab radar, and the windy conditions, that sort of stuff, it's a little bit of a prima donna when it's set up in those conditions. So rather than it driving me nuts, I put it away so I could just focus on doing what I normally do, but I got a proper speed which I've recorded for you. So that's what it's doing. Powder wise, I'm running the ADI 2209, that's the 4350 I think it is, but anyway, it's the ADI 2209 powder, and I'm running up in the top of their loading data. A tiny bit over, I think, it's about there, it's right up the top. And I don't share load data for legal and safety reasons. I don't share my load data, but I haven't done any load developing. I've just gone to where I was comfortable. We had some shots before with some 105s where I did some quick testing, make sure I wasn't going to overpressure. We're fine with that, so that's exactly what I did. I'd run this same powder load with the one time we shot it before, was running a 105 grain bullet, and I could see I had a little bit of room to move. It wasn't too high, so I just used that same powder load with the 109s, and yeah, we're about on the money. It's about where I think it's going to be. We'll have to see with more temperature in the day, that sort of stuff, but it shot really well, and that speed was phenomenal, bigger, larger than I expected, and for a little round, performing really, really well. I think there's a couple of features to go with that. I think it's a bit the 6mm Creedmoor, in the nature of its sharper shoulders and things. I think it becomes a little bit more efficient. I sort of would really like to do a fair comparison with the 243. I'm a huge fan of the 243. I always will be. And maybe this has got a little bit of an edge over it for sure. I can't really compare. I've only got a 24-inch 243 with a 1 in 10 twist, so I'd have to do up a custom barrel to do the comparisons. The 243 doesn't have the single feeding issues that I was speaking there because of the shape of it, but maybe a little bit of the efficiencies in there as well. But the other detail which I cannot overlook is the very long jump I'd set it up with. That is an old trick of letting the bullet get more speed with less pressure by putting that jump out, by making it further to go to the lands. It can cost you in accuracy, so it's something I was interested to see. So yesterday's effort when we're out testing this could well have been all over the place and not really worth showing anybody before, and I had to change things, but listen, performed really well. That accuracy was really good. Had a few shots, like I said, find the speed. Did a little bit of moving things around. I think there was another 3 or 4 shots and got myself sort of roughly on target there. We then put the lab radar away because, like I said, got to that point. I then set up the other cameras.
Top right, 2 o'clock. Four inches right edge. Oh, 2 o'clock. Couple of inches right edge. Yeah, 3 o'clock. 6 inches.
No, that's not terrible considering the conditions.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just do this. This will make it 5.
Radio. Hit just left of centre.
Yeah, okay, the wind had backed off. That's pretty much wind.
Yep.
It's a little bit out there, but that's pretty good, isn't it?
It is.
Well, 3,100 feet per second.
Yep.
I don't want to whinge about that.
Exactly.
You see my first shot, I was holding centre plate, and the conditions had changed a little bit. We're up in the top right corner, but then that's a real 5-shot group. In those conditions, so 7 inches, 1150 plus yards, 6 mil. Listen, really good. Shooting really well for, like I said, very little in load development. And I should say very little, none. I've done brass prep, so I've done all my trimming and sizing and bits and pieces. I did feel I want to go a little bit further. I wasn't getting quite the neck tension was a little higher than wanted and a tiny bit inconsistent, but not terrible. And really, the way it shot in those conditions, I couldn't expect it to be any better, to be truthful. But it's probably a little bit of playing I'm going to do there. Yeah, that's what I did. We went over. Well, let's go and have a little shot on the coke can, eh?
Okay.
Give myself 5 shots. Let's see what we can do.
Just zooming. Rightio. We're good to go.
Okay, so we're shooting there. Hold right.
Just off top left. Half can tall, 1 can left. Pretty close, man. Oh, got him.
A little bit low there, to be truthful, on hitting that. I think it hit the rock. I couldn't really pinpoint anything. There was a hole through the can, that sort of stuff, but I think it actually hit the rock first. It got it, and it did the trick for the video side of things, but listen, performing really well. And then Sam got it and have a shot as well. Just above centre, like it's like 4 inches, 5 inches high of dead centre.
Okay, awesome. And then go.
Yeah, that's still pretty central. That's about 6 inches below that one.
Right, yeah.
Sam, it didn't quite group as well for Sam. In fairness, it was set up for me, and it was just a little play, so she had a feel at that sort of a little bit of trigger time. So her eye relief wasn't great. She wasn't really set up comfortable on the rifle, but still on plate. No misses of the plate at the 1100. I think it was 1175 or no, 1180 yards. I think the plate was actually at. It was a 24-inch plate, by the way. So I think that's about the sum up of the bullet. I like them. I'm looking forward to trying them in the Storm as well, but I think they've found a happy home in the 6mm Creedmoor for me in the long range stuff. Really looking forward to pushing them out. That was for those conditions, and we're in 60-degree temperature we're 1,000 feet above sea level, so fairly high pressure in the air side of things, and like 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And we were running, that was just under 29 minutes of elevation out to 1,180 yards. So that's a very efficient little creature. That's going to go out to a mile real easy. That's going to obviously go further than that with what we do. But they're zinging. They got good ballistic coefficient at the, what is it again? At the 0.568 in the G1 and the 292 in the G7. This thing is really working well, and I'm really impressed with them, and I look forward to testing some of the other new bullets that the guys at Berger are coming up with. Really looking forward to the 245 grain 30 cal to run in the rum and normal build we're coming up, so really looking forward to that. But there's some other ones to go through as well. Some more stuff with the 156 grain Berger. Lots to do this season. Time and money, you know how it is. But anyway. That's my feedback on the bullet. Berger done a good job. Hats off for those guys. Hopefully there's some info for people that's worthwhile. It is a worthwhile bullet trying for sure. And listen, help us if you can. So like the video, share the video, help the channel grow. And if you can support us, like I said, time, money, all this stuff costs. And if you'd like to see more of it, the only way we can really do that is by growing things and putting more into the channel. So if you can help us, that'd be great. But listen, that's about what I can tell you. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thanks for checking in on us, and we'll catch you next time.